Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be ranking my top 5 best and worst signings of the 2023 NHL free agency so far. Now for the first couple days of free agency, we have already seen so many different signings, so many different players go to so many different places, but we're going to be breaking down the best and the worst from that crop that you need to know about. So watch till the end for all the rankings and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey content just like this. Now let's get started here today with the first player that we're going to talk about and the 5th best contract to come out of the 2023 NHL free agency. And to me, that is Carlsson of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I would have never expected in a million, jillion, billion years that I would be putting a Vancouver Canuck on a best contracts list. I know, I don't even know. There might be like apocalypse going out outside. I don't know what's happening. The world might be ending. But to me, a Vancouver Canuck has a really good contract, and it is actually crazy to see. But Carlsson to me has always been an extremely underrated D-man, a good puck mover, but a solid, quiet defenseman who moves the puck well, can skate well. And I think for the Canucks, they needed a player like this who brings some great size at 6'5", 210, but can also play like it, can play and back up great results as well. And you can see he's been with Minnesota and also Seattle this last year, getting 16 points in 78 games. He's not going to be racking up points, but that's not really what he's for in Vancouver. He's there to be that two-way defensive guy, and I think for Vancouver, they really do get their guy in Carlsson. Now going on to the 5th worst contract of the 2023 free agency. I don't really like Steve Yzerman's free agency that much. And at number 5, I have JT Compher. Now, he's not the worst free agent signing for the Detroit Red Wings this year, but it's definitely not too good either. In my opinion, JT Compher was at points even overpaid in his $3.5 million contract last time with Colorado. Now he's making a lot of dough, and for this next few years, he's making for the next, making for the next 5 seasons $5.1 million, and he has a modified no trade clause too. So he gets trade protection at $5.1 million. He's a player that had a great year this last year for Colorado, 52 points in 82 games, but I'm not really sure how sustainable that is. And it's the thing where I think Compher is good with the versatility. He can play on the wing if he needs to. If he was a pure center, this would make even less sense because they've just drafted Nate Danielson and they just got Marco Kasper in last year's draft, and having him for 5 years would be a huge mistake. So at least he could play on the wing, but to me, he's a player that will still be quite a bit overpaid in this contract, kind of like an Andrew Kopp might be, and I don't think Detroit really need more of those players, but we'll see if it works out, and if Compher continues to stay at that 2023 level, then maybe it's able to turn around. Now going on to the 4th best contract of the 2023 free agency. Next up, I'm going to go to Matt Duchene. Now, I might be a little bit biased here, but as a Stars fan, I absolutely adore this contract. 1 year at $3 million. That's it. No trade protection, just $3 million for Matt Duchene, and he's exactly the type of winger that I think the Stars could really need. You see over the last few seasons, even just in 2022, 86 points in 78 games, and even this last year, 56 points in 71 games. Johansson made a lot more sense as a buyout. Duchene was wild to see, but I think the Stars getting him at $3 million is an absolute steal, just like another player we will mention a lot later on that got bought out and was an absolute steal as well. But I love the versatility that Duchene could bring, the playmaking Duchene could bring, and even the goal scoring. The offense is going to be great, even if the defensive play might not be there. But I mean, if you get Matt Duchene at $3 million, you're not complaining. Now going on to the 4th worst contract of 2023, and you know what? We're just going to get the Red Wings out of the way. Next up, I have Justin Holl. Now, here's the thing with Justin Holl. I think as, again, like a 6th defenseman, he could be fine, but the Red Wings aren't going to be paying him like a 6th defenseman, and you see what they will be paying. With modified no trade clause, he will be paid $3.4 million for the next 3 seasons, and that means for the Red Wings on their defense, Ben Sherratt and Justin Holl will combine for more than $8 million on the cap for the next 3 seasons. And I mean, I love Steve Yzerman. He is my favorite GM of all time, but I just gotta say, those are some questionable moves for me at the very, very least. And to me, especially with Justin Holl, he's a player that could have his uses, but I think is gonna be really disappointing at that cap hit. You're almost setting him up for failure. But good for Justin Holl for getting that bag. And again, had some good minutes, I guess, for Toronto, but at points was just disappointing for them, especially in the playoffs. But we'll see. I mean, Justin Holl, I think, could be fine at best, but at $3.4 million, especially for a Red Wings team that has a lot of D-men coming up, you could have Holl keeping them from being in the NHL, and that is pretty weird to me. Now let's go on to the third best free agent signing of 2023, and I'm going to go on to Ryan O'Reilly. Now, to me, for the Preds, it looks like almost a complete retool for them. They get Ryan O'Reilly, they get Luke Schenn, they get players like Gustav, Nyquist as well, really retooling the top of that forward group. But to me, for Ryan O'Reilly, the cap hit is great, and it's not too much of a term commitment. 4 years, $4.5 million, and to me, I think it'll be worth that for at least the next 3. But Ryan O'Reilly is a player that I think is worth around that 5.5 now, and is a player that brings a lot of good versatility. And last year for Toronto was great in the games he played, and I think he's a player that if he continues that will be excellent in that $4.5 million cap hit, and will be a guy that for the Preds they can really build around, maybe have him as a true leader on the team for a long time to come, and have him as a great inspirational player for a lot of those younger players. And I think having him at the top of the lineup is huge, and having a player like Ryan O'Reilly at the top of the lineup is way better, at least chemistry wise and leadership wise, than players like Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene would be willing to bet. Now let's go on here to a pretty fascinating contract that was actually given out. For my third worst contract, I have Tristan Jarry of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, I really didn't expect Jarry to get this type of payday on the open market, and you can see 5 years at $5.375 million with modified no trade protection. I mean, this is insanity. I thought Jarry would get like $4 million, $4.5 million if he signed a 1-year deal. I mean, Jarry just has been a really inconsistent player, and for the goaltenders, I guess they aren't showing it, but you can see here a .909 save percentage in 47 games last year. I think he's fine, but he's been largely inconsistent for Pittsburgh, and largely has not really come up in the biggest way these last few years, really since that limited time in 2020 and a decent season in 2022. I just feel like Jarry's in a weird spot where the health hasn't been consistent, and I just feel like giving him that type of money, especially at that term. I could get 5.3, but for 5 years with no trade clause, like, this is insanity. And to me, this is a ginormous risk for the Penguins to take. Maybe one that they needed to take, but still not one I wouldn't have taken, that's for sure. Now let's go on here to the second best contract in the 2023 NHL free agency, and this one to me is just really good, even if there's not crazy amount of term, and that is Tyler Bertuzzi with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, to get Tyler Bertuzzi is huge, even if it's only 1 year at 5.5. I think for both sides, this is an amazing contract. For Bertuzzi, you get a great opportunity to really prove yourself and really get healthy under players like Matthews and Marner and Nylander, and have that offense around you. I think that'll do wonders for Bertuzzi, as well as for the Leafs. Getting a player like that, even if it is just for 1 year, is huge onto that top 6. And we knew they needed to go out for a top 6 winger. We knew that Toronto had interest in Bertuzzi in the past, and they land him here with $5.5 million on top of a solid max Domi contract as well. And for Toronto, even though there's not a lot of term, which I think kind of limits how good this contract is, if it was longer at 5.5, it would probably be the best. But getting him still at 1 year is especially solid, and I think moves that Toronto needed to make. Now let's go on to the second worst one, and I didn't even realize there were so many different trades and signings that happened on free agency so far, and I didn't even realize this was a contract that even happened until now, and that is Semyon Varlamov of the New York Islanders. Now, I don't know how many people know this, but Semyon Varlamov just got a 4-year contract. He's 35 years old. He got a 4-year contract at $2.75 million, a no trade clause for the first 2 seasons, and a modified no trade clause for the last 2. I mean, Varlamov has been okay when he's been healthy, sure, and I think he can be solid for them, and maybe for like a year be worth that. This last year at 9, 13, and 23 games, but he hasn't been healthy all that much and hasn't been consistent all that much. And giving a player like that, a player that is so old, 4 years, I mean, I can get Varlamov, and this was 6 years ago, giving him a contract like that with the performance he's had, but he's 35. He just turned 35, and he hasn't really shown, you know, the criteria to age well. He's had injuries, he's had inconsistencies, and to give a player like that type of term for an Islanders team that is already so cap strapped, there are so many backup options available, and they do that. I just can't really believe that this was an actually real contract. Now let's go on here to the worst contract in the league before we get into the best contract from 2023 free agency, and mine will have to be Miles would. Now, here's the thing. The Avs management sure has gained the benefit of the doubt. But to me, I never want to judge deals just on the team that signed them. I mean, if that happened, then we'd be saying the Tampa Bay Lightning made brilliant moves every single move they made. You know what I mean? I feel like Colorado still, yes, they've earned the benefit of the doubt, but we can still criticize moves they made. And this one is just insanity. 6 years has already been obviously been the biggest thing talked about, but he's probably not even worth that cap hit either. I mean, I would say maybe $2 million, pretty respectable for Miles Wood. But I mean, Devils fans were running him out of town by the time that things were over. And I don't think he was even playing consistently in the playoffs. He's a player that I just don't really see why this happened. And of course, he gets modified no trade protection for the final 5 years of this deal. And to me, I think Wood could be solid depth for the Avalanche. I don't think that's in question. He could be a useful player, but he only played again 8 playoff games, didn't play all of the games there. And I feel like he's a player that I just don't really see how that longevity is useful, especially giving no trade protection. I don't see how Wood would have rejected that deal if there wasn't trade protection there. So I don't know how the Avs justified a deal like this. It's crazy that it actually happened, and I feel like Devils fans just dodged the biggest bullet of all time. And we'll see if it works out. I just don't really like that term. I don't really like anything about this deal whatsoever, and we'll see if it does work out for them. But now let's go on to, in my opinion, the best contract from 2023 free agency, and here I have Blake Wheeler of the New York Rangers. This is just one that I think is pretty undeniable. No matter how much you might hate the Rangers, this deal is insanity, okay? I mean, in 1 year, obviously not the biggest term, but $800K for Blake Wheeler. And sure, he's older and he's going to be turning 37 this next year, but he hasn't really shown many signs of aging, some sure, but this last year, 55 points in 72 games and over a point per game in the playoffs for the Jets, 6 points in 5 games. And to me, I look at this and I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, sure, there's a no trade clause, but that doesn't really matter with the term. $800K for Blake Wheeler is insanity. And there was reasons why he bought out. He was absolutely overpaid when he was with the Jets, but $800K for Wheeler. I mean, this is a player that I think still could be worth like upwards of $4, maybe even $5 million for just the pure offense he brings alone. And to me, I think for the Rangers, even though I still think they might want some more defense, Blake Wheeler is fantastic. And having that type of versatility now in that top 9 is brilliant at an $800K cap hit. Brilliant move by Chris Drury. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and comment down below. What do you guys see as the best and worst contracts from 2023 free agency so far? And what do you guys agree and disagree with my list as well? Let us know down below. Of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already, and share all the content with your friends. Share the video if all you can. Get the hockey content out there and click on this card all the way up here for all of my trade rumor content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I hope you have a fantastic friggin' day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.